realised, right, I wasn't going to make this video, I was just going to make a short, and it's been so difficult to get this into a short, so I thought, no, let's just make a longer video about it, because I think it's really important. Now, Neville Goddard's visualisation, what you imagine happens in real life. Basically, you imagine it and then it shows up in your 3D. It's not 100% true, is it? Because I have daydreamed all of my life. Because that is just, I live in my head a lot. Now, 70, maybe 80% of those things have never happened in my life. Why haven't they? And why has it only been about 20% that's happened? Now, here's the key point. Daydreaming is not the same as visualising with intent. Visualising with intent is deciding what outcome you want. So purposeful intent, there's two different ways we're going to look at this. You visualise what you want, the outcome that you want, and you really feel that that is the outcome I want, and you're sure about that. You have clarity of mind on that is definitely what I want. Visualise it, let it go. Now, if you've done this on purpose, you then leave it alone, and let's say you want a new career, for example, in a certain field. Then you are not just going to sit back and wait for it to plop in your lap. If you're looking for a new career, you are going to see a job is going to come available to you. You're going to apply for that job. There are steps that you will need to take, but your visualization of the outcome that you want without that attachment to the outcome is what will then give you the right opportunities that lead you to that particular thing. Sitting there daydreaming because I used to daydream because I used to love singing, and I used to kind of visualize myself on the stage and singing and performing in front of people. Now, that's never happened because I never really had an intent, that's what I really want to do. I just used to get lost in it. So that has never happened. But then equally, I've visualized writing, becoming a writer and having a book out there writing for people. I visualized that. I had a clear outcome that I wanted in mind of me writing and earning money from writing. That has happened. I took the relevant steps for that to happen, but I was nudged in the right direction. I was given opportunities that I took. The first opportunity was writing for a business client that just appeared in my reality 3 days after I'd done this. And then it all kicked off from there. So I didn't have to do anything. I just got introduced to him, and then lo and behold, he became my first client really that I wrote for and got paid for doing that. Now, you can get lost in your head and not particularly be trying to manifest something, but you have a form of intent behind that visualization. And that's a difficult one to explain. So I'm going to try and explain it in the best way I can. You get a buzz from it. Part of you would kind of like that to happen, but you're not trying to make it happen. You don't really realize what you're doing. You're kind of like, I've done this with an old boss of mine where basically she was saying things about me and I found out about it, and I have conversations in my head with her that I never intended to have in real life. I ended up having them because when I was having them in my head, I was getting a buzz from it because I was putting her in her place, basically. I never intended to do that in real life, but part of me, so I had an unconscious intention there because I would have really, part of me would have liked that to happen, but I was enjoying it in my head, but not, I knew that that's not the sort of thing that I'd want to happen in real life. So what I would have needed to have done is had a word with myself after that, getting lost in that and saying to my subconscious, do not act upon this. I do not want this to happen. I do not want to see this in the 3D. And I do that these days. I say it's not true. Don't want it to happen. If I get carried away like that, I very rarely do these days. But I had a certain intent behind it. I had that buzz feeling from it. If you get that buzzy feeling from something, it's probably going to happen. I want to say it's 100% going to happen, but I never like to say that really. But you can be daydreaming all day long with zero intent behind it, and that stuff is never going to show up in your reality. I made a short video about this, about a visualization technique. I think it was that one or the magnetic one that I put up there. The thing is with shorts, when you put them out there, I don't know what goes on with the YouTube algorithm, but it literally just bombards it out to people that probably aren't even interested in this and think, what the hell are you talking about? And somebody made a comment like, oh yeah, well I'm daydreaming all of the time and none of that happens. That's nonsense, basically. You're just saying, imagine it and it will land in your lap or something like that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm never saying that. Some things do. If it's a person, for example, you want in your life that just shows up for you, but then you have to take action after that point to keep that relationship going and that sort of thing. If it's a new career, you have to take action, but you are given the right action dependent on that visualization. Like, I don't know if you watched a very old video of mine, fairly old, about Arnold Schwarzenegger and how I love him and how he would visualize the outcome all of the time. And his life followed the path of every single outcome that he'd visualized. It happened in real life because He visualized it, he felt it, he wanted it, he had some intent behind there, and then he got the opportunity. So reality moved for him. He bent space and time in order to get those opportunities to lead him to that outcome. But of course, he had to take action along the way. I'm not saying you don't have to ever take any action. That would be ridiculous. Of course you do. There's always pretty much action required at some level, isn't there, at some point with these manifestations. If you're looking to manifest a specific person and you visualize the outcome and that person shows up in your life, you then have to behave accordingly, don't you? You have to keep your emotions in check and your feelings in check so that you don't get taken over by fear again and lose that again. So in that respect, you have to work internally at that. And then you have to have a relationship and make that relationship work in the best possible way. That's you taking action. If it's the career, you have to follow that path that you're given. If you're given opportunities, you have to snap them up, because that is reality going, there you go, you asked for that, you need to take this step now. Okay, now you need to take this step. Often when things like this have happened for me and I've got to a particular outcome that I've wanted, I haven't actually realised that the path that I'm following at that moment, so the things that are happening along the way are leading me to it until I've got to it, and then I'm being really shocked, like, oh, I didn't see that coming at all. So often it seems like a curveball and you're just not thinking too much about it. You're just taking these steps but not realising that they're leading you to that particular outcome that you've visualised over a certain thing. So visualizing with zero intent is not going to manifest. Imagining things with zero intent, they're not going to just magically show up in your life. Don't worry about that, or don't think, because it's a feeling of when I've been lost in my head and I've had that sort of buzz feeling, so that feeling of intent but without realizing that, I have been feeling it as if it was real. That's the difference, but not on purpose, but just because. Because it was so vivid in my imagination that it kind of felt real in the moment. Obviously, I wasn't thinking, oh, this is really happening, but my subconscious was, because my subconscious doesn't know the difference between real or not real. So then it had to show up in 3D reality for me because I felt it real. But daydreaming, you're not feeling it as real, are you? You're just kind of like, there's nothing really behind it. It's just sort of floating in and floating out again. That is a whole different thing. I think I'm going to keep this short because that's really all I wanted to say. I really wanted to say this in a short because I like making shorts because they're easier and I have more time to do them. But I've started even taking the comments off the shorts now, because it's just half of those comments are just from people that have zero sort of understanding or want to have any understanding of this. They're watching it by mistake, basically. So if you see the comments turned off on my shorts videos, then that's why, because I don't want to get into conflict and debate with people, and I don't like to leave comments unanswered either. So it's better just to have them turned off and leave them on for my long comments for people that are interested and it is what you're wanting to watch in the moment. So thank you so much for watching. If you don't know anything about me, I'm an author and I'm a manifesting coach. I'm also a mindset coach.